Hey man, how you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of Sunday Matinee. It's sorry for the lack of episodes. It's been a while, been a busy pandemic and the world sucks, but it is what it is. Today I have Mike Score from one of my favorite bands, All Out War. How you doing, Mike?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on, Nate. Really
Dude,
appreciate it.
yeah, thanks for joining me, man. It's I've had the privilege of being able to do a good amount of shows with All Out War, both in the States, Japan. Um, and this year we were supposed to do Europe, which I believe it's still up in the air. I don't know.
Still up in the air, but I saw some of those festivals were already starting to go down, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So
man.
we'll see how it plays out.
So I mean, where are you at? Where do you live, and how you been?
I've been good. I've been hanging in there. I live in upstate New York. I live about an hour outside of New York City.
Yeah,
So I have the best of both worlds where I live. I have the woods, and then if I want to go into the city, it's less than an hour drive, so it's not bad.
that's
So,
awesome.
but as a teacher, trying to make it through this COVID stuff has been crazy because it's been a lot of should the kids come in, should the kids not come in. A
Yeah.
lot of online learning is a disaster.
So yeah, that's I kind of wanted to dive into that. So I don't know if people know that, but you're I believe you're a history teacher, right?
The history teacher, yeah,
For what grade?
ninth and 10th.
Ninth and tenth, dude. I have to ask, do you ever encounter kids that like know your band or know what you do outside of school?
It comes in waves. People always ask me that, and it comes in waves. You get kids that are like into into underground stuff. They'll come through, then they'll graduate, and there won't be a group like that for a couple of years, and then another
Yeah, yeah.
group will come in. But it's crazy now after doing this for so long. Now I get kids who are like, "Yeah, I heard you're in a band." I'm like, "Oh, you listen to that kind of stuff?" And they're like, "Nah, but my dad does." You know, so that's been a big change, and a big like, "Holy shit, I'm old" moment when that happens.
Yeah.
But
Have you ever had like a interaction with a student that's actually like likes hardcore and punk and
oh yeah,
for your band?
yeah,
And
yeah, definitely.
how's that interaction? Like,
I mean,
do you get stoked on it, or do you kind of like keep it like professional in the sense of like not really dive into like
I
how's
try
that
to
interaction?
in front of the room, I always keep it professional. But if the kid wants to talk to me, outside of school, like post session or whatever, like
Yeah,
after school, then we have great conversations about metal and hardcore.
yeah, yeah.
It's you
It's
know,
it's cool because I mean that's kind of I got into a lot of punk and I mean as a kid I went to a lot of punk shows. And I think some of the first bands that I saw that like were somewhat hardcore bands was like the band Nerve Agents, Redemption, Over My Dead Body. And I was wearing an Over My Dead Body shirt, and I was going to the YMCA at the time. And one of the dudes that worked there, he was older. He was one of the counselors, and he was a teacher as well. He's like, "You like hardcore?" I was like, "I like punk." And he's like, "No, like that's a hardcore band." He's like, "You like that stuff?" He's like, I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, man." He's like, "Cool." And like every time I would see him, he'd always be like, "Oh yeah, check out this band or check out this CD or this record." And I was like, it's pretty cool because that's kind of how I kind of I dove way more into hardcore was because of my friend John who was a teacher at the time, and it was that was a cool experience for me.
I always try to guide them towards like the real stuff, because you'll see the kids with like you know uh, more mainstream like Slipknot shirts on. Like, oh, you like Slipknot? Maybe you like this band.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Dude, that's got to be a cool experience ever whenever you do encounter it. But it seems nowadays like what do you because you teach a grade where like I remember me being in ninth and 10th grade, like that was the the moment when like I was introduced to punk and music, and it was a whole like it was a whole nother world. I was a motherfucker at that time, as a kid. Do you like you being not only heavily involved in hardcore music and playing music, do you ever see yourself in these kid in like in some of these kids like, oh shit, I was like that as a kid, or I was like That's how
You
I
know,
punk
it's
and
funny
hard.
that you say that. You always wonder because you remember how you were in ninth and 10th grade, right?
Yeah,
But now as an adult, these guys are like kids,
yeah,
and you think to yourself, do they go to shows do they get on a train and go to the Lower East Side, New York City to see shows? Or probably not. Kids
yeah,
are kids are a little different though now than when we were kids too, because they don't seem to be as adventurous at that age. Like I remember, when I first got into hardcore metal, if you were 21 or 22, you're the oldest person in the room.
dude.
Now, if you look at hardcore shows, 21, 22, that's pretty
Yeah.
young to be.
And
Not that it's young, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy you bring that up because like me and Martine from Terror were talking about that. Is like it shows don't necessarily need to be all ages anymore. I want them to be all ages, but they don't necessarily need to be all ages because like the demographic of people that go to hardcore and punk shows aren't necessarily kids. When I went to shows, I was 15 years old, 16 years old, and it was all kids my age.
Right.
Now the demographic is a lot older, and I think it's kind of changed that punk and hardcore is not necessarily for kids anymore. Like nowadays I see kids, they're all into like that trap music and rap, and I don't know what the fuck they're into, to be honest. But
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily, the demographic has almost changed where it doesn't need to be an all ages show anymore, and it'll be
right.
totally fine.
When I was a kid, if it wasn't an all ages show, it would have been dead. There would be nobody there,
Yeah,
because there wasn't that many people that were over 21. I mean, even the bands were under 21.
yeah,
I remember going to CBGBs and you know getting my friend's permit and trying to get in because it was 16 and up.
yeah,
So you had to find somebody you knew who had a driver's permit, and then they would hand it off, and you try to get in that way. And if you were lucky, it
yeah.
would work for you.
I mean, as a kid, being part of New York, how did you get involved into like punk and hardcore and metal? Like how'd you discover it? Everybody kind of has a different story.
I was a metalhead. I had a couple older friends that used to love to go to shows, and being where we're from, it's like a no man's land. There was not a thriving scene at the time, at least not one that I knew about.
What part of upstate did you grow up in?
So I'm in the middle between Albany and New York City.
Okay.
So it's like, an hour north of Albany, and then less than an hour south I have New York City. So I had a friend, that was a little older than me, and he would drive us to shows. So we would go all over. And there were a few places that we would go all the time. We'd go to, for some reason, we would go all the way down to this club, City Gardens in Trenton,
Mhm.
and then we would go to Lemore's in Brooklyn. And then eventually, we would go to the Anthrax in Connecticut. But when I really started to get into hardcore, I actually went to a show to see Nuclear Assault. And Nuclear Assault happened to be playing with Broken Bones and UK Subs.
That's awesome.
And
What a
I
lot.
I was blown away. It was like,
Yeah.
wow, what the hell is this? And
Yeah.
all of a sudden I just dug into it, and then I started like reading thank you lists in albums, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go try and find this record, I'll find this record. And all of a sudden it just opened up a whole new world for me. And
Yeah.
it was through metal,
Yeah.
that I got into that crossover scene. And then I kind of started to get into punk a little bit more. And then in the late 80s, I discovered the New York stuff.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool you mentioned that because even me as a kid, the way I discovered bands, I'd always look at the label's catalog from like I would buy a record. Okay, I would look at this label's catalog, and I would always look at the thank you list. Like, oh fuck, this and that's how I always like, oh, okay, this band or this band, you know.
That's
Like,
how I found all the bands, all through thank you lists.
so
Especially like I said, it wasn't like what it is today. There was no internet, there was no social media or anything. It was word of mouth.
it's crazy because like back then when I was a kid, I would get a demo and I would fucking hold on to this demo and listen to it for like for weeks until I got another one. And now it's like you know, it's so accessible now where I just like mentally I can't fucking keep up, you know. It's harder for me to keep up with new music because it's just fucking cranking out nonstop, you know. But
Let me see if this makes sense to you, because I said this to somebody else during an interview and they thought I was nuts. But I always thought, like, when I was younger, it was like a competition to be into the most underground bands. Like, you searched out the band that nobody else heard of, and you're like, ah, I got this band, the Icemen. You ever hear of them? And then somebody else would try to one up you, and they'd come in with another demo of another underground band. Be like, I got this one. You ever hear of them?
yeah,
But now it almost is like kids gravitate towards the more popular bands and don't dig as deep into the underground. I might be wrong, because somebody else told
I,
me I was wrong with that.
no, I definitely, I hate to say, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that with hardcore. That, you know, there's got to be some kind of like recognition for it to be valuable, you know. Whereas like, you know, back then you're like, oh fuck, this band's never, no one's ever heard of it. I think in like, you know, I have a bunch of here in LA, punk's big, but not at the level of like of hardcore. You know, our bands can play around the world, and there's going to be some kind of recognition. Punk here, there's still this like element of the very underground element of punk and metal, at least like the darker black metal type of stuff, where there's bands here that play that no one probably ever heard of, but if they play South Central LA, it fucking pops. It's crazy. But they don't, you know, you don't see them on the internet, but they have demos. And that's
That's
kind of
awesome.
cool. You know, I
That's
recently,
great.
you know, before all this shit happened, I would go to some of these shows and I'm like, dude, these shows are slammed. And like, yeah, like, you know, they play here, it's awesome. You know, they play somewhere else. No one knows who the hell they are. But there's still this element of like kids, like, you know, punk, at least the punk community here is like very like, fuck yeah, you know, like still extremely intact to like some kind of demo or, and
Yeah,
it's pretty cool to see that because I, it's been years since I've kind of seen that, you know.
that's awesome.
But so you know, diving back into music, you got into music in, you know, in the '80s, and then, you know, all that war started what, in the early '90s? When did all that war start?
All Out War unofficially started in the fall of 1990, but we didn't play our first show until December of 91.
Cool. So it's, you know, when you kind of you kind of look back at it, do you ever think, holy shit, that's a long fucking time?
Every day. Every day.
You know,
Especially lately, because our old drummer has been sending me old flyers.
yeah,
And I'm like, holy shit, I posted a couple of them, and somebody, you know, somebody from, I think, Funeral Chic, commented, and he was like, I was born the next day from
yeah.
the show. And I was like, holy shit, is that long ago? That, like,
But like,
people who I know from the scene, they weren't even born yet.
yeah,
It's
I mean,
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, '91, I was, you know, a few years old.
I mean, it just dawned on me that All Out War is 30. It's been 30 years that I've been doing this.
It's been 30 years.
30 years. But the awesome thing about it is, you know, my entire life, has been centered around these people. And
yeah,
I mean this in a fantastic way. It's like those are still my friends.
yeah.
I met my wife back then through playing shows. So our bands played shows together. So it's all from this scene, or from this.
Yeah,
And it's not just hardcore, because it's metal too. It's like the
yeah.
underground music scene in general. You know, it's just a fantastic thing.
But when you think about it, like, you know, I think you guys have been consistently doing, you know, making music, playing shows for 30 years. I think what, like in the 2000s, you guys took like a small break, a couple of years, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we took a couple of breaks throughout that whole time. Like,
Yeah,
life just kind of, because All Out War started, I was 17. So a lot of life things came through since then too.
yeah, of course. But you know, when you think about it, sit down, it's just it's been a consistent part of your life. And I ask this, you know, obviously you have your career, you have your family, you have your own personal life going on. But did you ever not want to do it because it put a strain on your personal life, or has it always kind of have you always just kind of made time for all that?
When I first started teaching, I thought, all right, maybe I gotta like tone it down, or I gotta be an adult, or whatever.
Yeah,
And I realized, man, it's such a part of me. It's such a part of like who I am, and that's where my friends are, and that's where I feel comfortable. So I just, you know,
yeah.
never left for too long.
It kind of sounds like Shabab is kind of the same way where like there's always been this like there's been some talks of like, oh, should we just kind of like call it a day or not? But it's like the people in the band are my best friends. We've gone to a point where like it's not we do it when we can. It's not our job. It's we do it for fun. But it's one of those things like in the back of my mind, I was like, I can't let it go simply for that reason because it's just like it's been part of my life for so long now that I'm just like, it is what it is.
And
It's
don't
there when I have to do it.
don't let it go. You'll regret it. Don't
Dude,
because I'm the same way with all that. We're all the same way with all that war. It's like we do what we can. We're all, older. We all have careers, so we do what we can when we can. But to not do it, just, you know, yeah, and you always run into those people, and these are the worst kind of people. The people who have left, and then when they see you somewhere, throw this line at you. Oh, you're still doing that? You know?
yeah.
And they throw that at you like you're some kind of heathen, or you're some kind of like you know somebody that is beneath them because they are not into it anymore. Oh, they're the worst kind of
Oh,
people.
dude, it's the worst. I recently saw a friend of mine, and she's like, oh, like, is your band still a band? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, you're still playing in a band? Why? Like, are you ever gonna grow up? And I'm like, I'm pretty grown up, man. I got a lot of bills. I got a home, kind
Yeah.
of, and I think it's hard to understand it unless you're heavily involved in music and hardcore, and you kind of found a community within it. It's kind of hard to really explain it to somebody that why you still do it. But there's also this like there's this side of like the reason why I don't want to let it go is because there's also this I seen and talked to like bands that are like, oh, we broke up years ago and I wish we were still a band. And I never understood that because like I was like, all right, I think our bands have been able to find a balance. But then there's a lot of bands that it's like either you have to tour or you don't tour. And I almost feel like that's kind of psychotic. Like to be like selfishly like I have to be in a band and tour and it's gotta be my life and not find a middle ground. Like I've never understood how some bands are like just like that's it. We have to tour, and I'm glad I'm not in that type of band.
I, I found out, early on in All Out War's existence that I didn't like touring a lot. Like,
You know?
don't get me wrong, how I always looked at tour, I really like the beginning. It's like you're out there. This is cool. I'm living like a nomad. This is awesome. Seeing people, and then every tour with me anyway. Then the middle hit, and I was like, oh man, just get me home to my own bed. Let's
I,
get this over with. And then it gets better because you start seeing the light, and then you're like, oh, what the fuck? I didn't want to go home. I want to stay out.
I think I'm at a point where like anything past a week, I can't do it. I
Yeah,
can't fucking do it, dude. But I think,
I,
I mean, I wanted to say one of my favorite tours I've ever done was the one we did with you guys in Japan. Like that whole run was a fucking blast. Like
and you guys went on after
we,
we left.
yeah,
So
because we went on a few more days, but I was just like that was like a perfect amount of time, just like a few shows with you guys, a couple more shows and out. But
that's that's what we did. A couple years ago, we did like 6 days in Europe, and that was perfect. Six
yeah,
days was great. 6 days was enough.
yeah, I'm
Six-
I'm at a
just enough that you're out there, playing, and right when I was about to get tired, oh, go home.
yeah, I'm at that point where like I can do, yeah. I think about a week is good, and then after that, I gotta go. I want my own bed, and no, it is what it is. But diving back into All Out War, you know, I mean, I assume most people tell you like for those who were crucified were like fuck till this day it's still like an all time probably top 10 5 records for me, and
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that.
your guys' records, your whole catalog has kind of withstood the time. Like every record you guys put out, it's gets better and better and better. So my question is like, how is the writing process for you guys? How is like when you guys are like, all right, we got to write an All Out War record. What do you do lyrically, and what does the band do musically? How do you guys like continue to find inspiration to continue writing music?
I think, with All Out War, and thanks for the kind words on the records. Um, the influences are, we're like, I'm a music fan, so I'm a fan. Like, I I love all the metal stuff and then the hardcore stuff. So we're always pulling from different influences every time. It's so funny to me whenever people are like, "Oh, you guys just bite off of Slayer." No, we bite off a lot of different people. We go to great lengths to find other bands besides. So it's like every time we go down to write a record, I've been listening to totally different stuff, from the record before. So we integrate those influences, but then it always comes out as All Out War. You
Yeah.
know the style is there, but
How do you guys write records? Like, is it you? Like, does everybody kind of pitch in, or is there one person kind of writing riffs and then you write lyrics, or how does that come together?
everybody pitches in and everybody disagrees, and we just sit there and it takes forever. We'll rewrite a song like 20 times, because and the biggest critic in the band is Eric, because we already know right away Eric's going to hate it. Whatever we write, he's going to hate it, so everything is like a constant debate, and it
Yeah.
comes out the way it does.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that it comes out great every time,
Thank you.
I think me and Brian have talked about it. Even Taylor were like, there's a very distinct All Out War sound, but it's like as each record comes out, we're like, fuck yeah, that's All Out War. Like that's good, and it gets better, and it's I have like it's just crazy to me that you guys are still writing records or finding inspiration because like, and I say this not like offensively, but me personally, I'm like I don't think I could do another Sabala record for like a few more years because like right now I'm like, oh, I want to do like a punk band or like I think mine's I'm just like fuck like but you guys been cranking them out for 30 years.
Well, it's especially since we don't tour and we love doing it. So we love playing music and we don't do it for any other reason besides playing the music, So I guess that explains it a little bit because we're constantly like, hey, did you hear this band? Listen, I wrote this riff that sounds like whatever.
Yeah. As far as lyrics go, do you write most of the lyrics?
Yeah, right off the lyrics.
So I mean, yeah, lyrically, it's I can't I can't compare your lyrics to another like primarily you guys have been playing music with hardcore bands and metal bands, but I can't sit here and be like, oh, lyrically, All That War writes like this band. So I have to ask you, like, what do you write about, and what influences your lyrics?
Uh, Depends again what's going on at the time, but I think that a lot of my lyrics have always been, I'm a student of history, so I've studied, history. I've been always into it. It was the only subject in school that I liked. And, throughout history, you just see all of this, inhumanity towards fellow men or, fellow humans. And I just have, you know, so much to say about like the hypocrisy, and that's with everything.
Yeah.
And the lyrics come out through that, you know.
And,
That sense at all.
No, no, that definitely makes sense. I think, being a history, being a history teacher and someone that's been heavily involved in, learning history, and I think, and that's the reason why I asked is because it's kind of obvious in your lyrics as far as you kind of writing in that tone. Like, if you were to write a record this year based on everything that's gone on this year, between the pandemic, politics, what would it be? Would it be an angry record? Would it be a record
Oh,
of a lot of questions, or what? Like, I feel like right now in your head, you could write a lot of shit.
I think um, it would be probably along the lines of the Give Us Extinction record, because I started writing that the first appearance of, or during the 2016 election.
Mhm.
So a lot of those lyrics stemmed from all the bullshit that was coming out then. So I think that it would just probably continue on, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, do you live in an area that's fairly secluded, or is it kind of like, are you, like,
I'm pretty secluded, surrounded by non-seclusion. So in other words, it's really weird when you get like north of, like, I guess, Westchester County, and oh, you've driven through here on your way to Albany, I'm sure. It goes like this. It goes, you have like a city like Newburgh or Poughkeepsie, but in the middle you have a lot of seclusion. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
But
So you got all these small little cities, but a lot of
so, like, let's say, let's dive, I guess, diving into politics. Like, let's say where, like, the area you live in, is it primarily, do you see a lot of Republicans or Democrats, or what's kind of the overall feel politically?
I live in a college town, so where I live, it's very extremely liberal,
So
which
people use their brains.
yeah. And then but we're surrounded by,
and
a
and
lot of other stuff.
the reason I asked that is, like, like, I did the last interview I did was with Greg from Trial, and Greg was like, dude, I want to do a speaking tour, or like a listening tour, because he's been doing these tours, or like where he just he talks to different people around the world, and he's like, I want to, like, talk to people in different areas of this country just to comprehend and understand what is going on, or what's the mindset within a certain community and area. And to me, I was just like, I live in Long Beach, California, which is, it's an urban area, extreme, like, politically extremely liberal. It's a very, diverse group of human beings in this area. But literally, the next city down is Huntington Beach, which is, politically the polar opposite of where I live, and it's a mile, a few miles away. So to me, my stance and what I see is sometimes a little bit abrasive, in the sense that, like, fuck Trump supporters, fuck them all, and it's abrasive. I understand that, but then I also don't take into consideration of people around the country that live in different demographics, live in different, areas that could be extremely secluded, that's all they know and see. So that's how I asked you, was like, do you live in an area that's kind of like that or not? I don't know what it's like in upstate New York, but
Well, like I said, it's where I live is very liberal, but then surrounding, it's not very liberal at all.
so what's your take on these areas around where you live? Like, do you find it, like, do you find it difficult to, do you embrace it? What do you think about it? Like, what do you think of these communities around you? Because, I've never asked you, like, how have you taken this past 4 years? Like, has it been?
I find the Trump stuff to be very odd.
Mhm.
It's really strange to me, like, to be a fanboy of a politician, to say all these years, we all these politicians serve big business, and then to just support a guy that cuts out the middleman. It's it's strange to me. Just,
Yeah.
it's it's very cult like,
Yeah,
it's,
extremely cult like.
you
And
know,
this, this is
and I don't get it. I don't understand it, but
yeah, it's yeah, I would agree. It's like very cult like. It's almost like blind loyalty, And this is coming from someone that like I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's completely. I always try to find reason. When he first got elected, it's like he's the president. Let's deal with it. Let's figure out what he can do for us. And I think there's been more negatives than positives. But it's the same way with with Kamala and Biden, where I'm not necessarily a fan of Kamala or Biden, but at the same time, I'm I'm hoping they
well,
kind of turn the wheels in the right direction.
I think, for where we were at, I'm hoping this is a step in the right direction away from that.
Yeah. Do you, being someone history is your thing. What do you think is what do you think is gonna happen in the next 4 8 years? I think that if shit goes south with Biden and he didn't get impeached, that he's gonna run again. That's just what I think.
It's a possibility. Well, it's more than, yeah. Um, but does he have the credibility to actually pull it off again? That, and he's also 4 years older.
Yeah, but I mean, has he been credible before that?
No, but I mean, it's a crazy. Well, you know, going back to all out war lyrics. I've always leaned towards long before Trump. It's like we're living in some crazy dangerous times,
Yeah,
and we got to learn to get along, and we got to move away from you know uh, you got to accept that things have to move forward. Things can't stay, in the past. It's constantly moving.
yeah, and it's I think the past 4 years there's been extremes on every political side. It's been a very extreme 4 years, and it's like I'm just fucking over it, dude. I'm just like, I don't even want to see the fucking news anymore. But I do fear the next 4 years. I do feel like as much as like at least in the punk hardcore community metal, there's always been this progressive state of mind, or there's always been this like kind of like no matter what's going on politically, where there's always been this kind of ethics of like making shit happen. And I think we've been successful as a community of doing that. But now as an adult, it's like what these politicians are doing is affecting my everyday life. And for someone that's never been involved in politics or really cared about politics, now I'm just sitting here, it's like, fuck, well, if like the next 4 years he may become more favorable and just win again, which is, is it going to be, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's very unsettling,
Well, I think you know if you look back, you got to wonder, will the Trump years, will that be a blip on the screen, or will that be something that historians are examining in 200 years? And like I tell students all the time, you know, you a lot of times you don't see the true impacts of something until 50, 60 years later.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to predict, you know.
So I wanted to ask, like, when you teach kids, like, do you teach in a very unbiased way, or do you kind of always kind of
I think my job as a teacher is to teach critical thinking skills.
I agree.
I don't try to, even though, as a public school teacher, you're always accused of being, somebody that's trying to indoctrinate kids. You always hear that, especially, from the talking heads on the news. Oh, teachers, they're always teachers in the public schools, they're terrible. They try to indoctrinate kids. I try to teach my job is to give them critical thinking skills. I present them with information, and here it is. You make of it whatever you want,
Yeah,
but make sure that you actually, come to your conclusion because of actual facts and not just because you just pull it out of thin air or you heard some talking head on TV say it this way. You
yeah,
know, I think the most important thing as a teacher is to push critical thinking skills. I give them the documents. I deal with primary sources, and I have the kids read the primary sources, and then I have them make connections and
yeah.
you know
Here at home, the kids are learning at home, and then sometimes I watch, you know, I'll listen and watch what they're learning or what the teacher's speaking via Zoom class, and then sometimes it's kind of like it's kind of troubling in this because it's like sometimes as much as I don't like Trump, there's almost kind of this like belittling, like they're like belittling him the way they communicate about him, and it's like I almost prefer it to be as unbiased as possible so that people could just take it in, kids could take it in and really push to like really question and learn and be like, okay, this is the facts, this is what it is. So for me, that's why I asked. I was like, it's kind of troubling to see that some teachers don't give a fuck and just are just
No, I try to be as unbiased as possible. I don't want the kids to believe something because I told them to believe it.
yeah.
I want them to come to their own conclusions.
And that
And I,
that's the hard part because I witnessed some of that and I was just like, this is weird. But so how COVID-19 hit and it fucked our whole worlds up. You know, I work in music industry. I tour for a living. It's turned my whole world upside down. It is what it is. But for you as a teacher, have you been able to continue to work? How's it affected your teaching? How's it affected your personal life? Like, are you
I'm
okay?
very, I, I'm very appreciative that I was able to get paid through all of this. I realize, how as teachers we were so lucky that we got paid. You know, the thing is, though, we still have been affected big time because we had to learn, or at least in my district, a whole new way to teach. Everything was thrown on its head. I depend a lot on getting to know the kids,
Mhm.
like, to reach them, because the thing about teaching is if you want to capture their minds, you have to capture their hearts first. You have to take an interest in their lives.
Mhm.
You have to talk to them and get to know them, and on a personal level, and then you can reach them academically. The
Yeah, I
problem
agree.
the problem with that philosophy, though, that I've held my whole career, is that you don't get this through Google Meets. Especially with high school kids, they don't even want to turn the camera on. There are kids that I teach, I don't even know what they look like. I've got them in September. I don't know. They never turn the cameras on. I know what they look like based on a school picture that they've taken 3 years before.
Yeah,
So it's so hard right now to to get to know the kids. And then on top of that, well, not on top of that, but it makes everything so impersonal.
yeah,
you know and you have to learn new strategies. And it's been like being a first I've been teaching for 18 years. It's been like being a first year teacher all over again.
yeah.
It's insane.
Do you think the learning process is going to be like? Do you think kids are retaining the information as much as they would as an in-person class? Like,
Problem. No.
yeah.
No.
I mean,
you know
and that's
we're
and
doing,
that's
we're doing our best. you
no,
know
dude, I give it up for teachers right now because I know several teachers, and when I asked them, it was like the general consensus, like it's a lot, it's very difficult to teach over a screen, and to kind of understand where their heads at, and like you kind of question their choices, question their answers. So do you think like this year, because there was some kind of talks here about having kids redo the year, but do you think kids are not learning to the same extent as they would be in class? Like, Do you think
Oh yeah.
the next year is going to be like if they're in school next year? Do you think math and history is going to be a problem because they didn't retain the information from the year before?
I don't think history will be the problem. I don't think necessarily science will be the problem. I think when you get to math and then especially on the lower levels, when you get to reading, I think, the kids are going to be behind a little bit because I see it with my own kids.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to, I mean, I really feel for elementary school teachers. You're teaching, you're
yeah.
the foundation, the
I can't.
building blocks.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like being a first kindergarten teacher right now. It's like,
I mean, with me, you can with history can always catch up with that in the next grade,
yeah,
because it's all, it's is
yeah.
what it is. But
Well,
it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out with math and English and things like that.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's that. Yeah, I think the next couple of years, hopefully this pandemic comes to an end soon, and hopefully politically this world comes to a stable point. But we'll see how the next couple of years are. But
Yeah, I just need to like last summer was terrible for me. It was awful, and I know it was awful for everybody. So I don't want to come off like I'm saying it was only me.
no,
But
man,
man,
it was probably. I mean, personally, it's the worst fucking year of my life.
right, right. That's what I mean. And so that's what I'm saying. I know that this is not unique to me, but just the constant just sitting and not seeing the people that you're used to seeing all the
Yeah,
time, and being out and about,
yeah,
like my daughter and I, we went hiking a lot. And towards the end of the summer, she was just like, another hike, really? And I was like, I just need to get out of the house. Can you come with me? And she was like, oh, all right, I'll go with you. But how many times can we go hiking? And I
yeah.
was like, well, there's nothing else to do. Everything's closed.
So I mean, mentally, you see, at least in the music community, you see depression and a lot. You saw a lot of it kind of take its toll on people. This year personally, I've had coworkers, friends pass away from catching COVID, and I've also seen a lot of people in the music community where depression took a toll to the point where people have passed away. Um,
Sorry.
what were you? What you throughout this time? What were you doing to stay in a positive outlook? Like, what were you doing?
I
Hiking?
didn't have a positive outlook.
No.
That no, it was rough, especially like I welcomed going back to work because at least even though it was so abnormal or it's still so abnormal, at least it was some kind of consistency,
Yeah.
where, you know, over the summer it was like Groundhog's Day. It was the same day over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I was extremely negative and extremely, you know, struggling to get through it. And like I said, because there was a lot of teachers that didn't want to go back to work in September, and I was like, well, at least let me go keep the kids at home if you want, and I'll go in and I'll teach from the classroom over the computer. I don't want to stay home and do it.
Yeah. Dude. I've almost kind of been the same thing. There's times where like I acknowledge what's going on, but then there's also times where like mentally I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck. Let's just go to work. Let's just do it.
At my job, like after the winter break, they gave they gave the teachers the option because they weren't going to have the kids come in because they were afraid. And you know obviously, people got together over the holidays, so they were afraid to bring the kids back
Yeah.
right after Christmas. So, and we haven't, when I say have the kids back, I mean we have very few of them that actually come in. The school is open, but we do this hybrid model where it's every other day, and only like each class I have like 4 or 5 kids live. But after the Christmas break, nobody was allowed back.
Yeah.
They gave the teachers an option. They said, well, you can come and work from the building, but there won't be any kids. And I was like, I'm going in and working from the building because I just need that normalcy of waking up at
Yeah.
5:30 in the morning and going somewhere and then coming back. I couldn't stand,
Yeah,
doing this from my house.
yeah, whatever. I mean, whatever it is, I'm kind of in the same way. I'm just like that. I mean, that's a reason why I've been doing all these live streams, and thankfully, I was able to develop some kind of workflow because of doing and learning live streams. But I'm just like, dude, I just need to do something. And it's also like, I'm stoked to see you, man. Like it's cool
Yeah.
to see my peers and friends, and
I mean, to have this conversation is fantastic. I mean,
but I feel it. I can't. I hope I get to see and play with All Out War soon. But on a lighter note, let's dive into All Out War again. Like, what is there? Obviously, we're supposed to do shows together in Europe. Like, once the world comes correct, like, are you guys planning to put out a record, play a show? What's in the All Out War camp going
well,
on?
we have no concrete plans at all. We've been really sidelined because Andy, the guitar player, is a single dad, so he depends on his parents or relatives to watch his daughter.
Yeah,
But because of COVID, you know, you don't want to bring her around his daughter around his parents. So he's really strapped for time.
yeah,
So it's been real difficult. We've been trying to write stuff online. So we've been doing that, writing stuff online. I just recently um, looked into getting like a studio where I can do like some mics that I can hook up at home to
mhm,
do vocals at home and try to do it that way, you
yeah.
know?
You should.
So, you know, and I have some other projects going on. I'm doing something with Dom from Integrity, and I have been kicking around some ideas about recording something, but we'll see how that goes.
What is
And then I have a band that I do with my wife and Matt from Hatebreed and this guy Mike from a band called Primeval. So we do that band. We kind of try to do that all online,
what's that band
but
called?
that band's called Below the Frost. It's how do I explain it? It's like a lot slower than any of our other bands.
Yeah,
So my wife writes all the music. We're just all along for the ride.
gotta check it out. Is it
So
is it still in vein of like metal, or is it?
oh yeah, it's definitely metal. She was in a band called Starkweather.
I
So
love Starkweather, dude.
my wife was the bassist for Starkweather.
Okay, now,
S-
dude, me
So
and Brian talk about Starkweather all the fucking time, and we played that. We played that. This is hardcore where they played
I got all behind me, like
because,
all the original prints from the Starkweather records. Can you see
dude,
that?
that's so awesome. We uh we played that year because we're like, dude, Starkweather's playing. They never play. Like what?
Yeah, she wasn't in the band then.
So I mean, it's still cool that she played with them.
She left in 2000, I think 2001.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, that's
So yeah,
awesome.
we have. So if you know Starkweather, it's like a slowed down, creepier version of Starkweather.
Is this
What
on
we've been.
is this on Spotify?
So we had a Bandcamp page, Below the Frost.
I'm gonna write it down. Hold on.
I think there's 2 songs up on there:
Oh, fuck it.
"Silence the Light" and
I'll write it down. I'll forget, dude. I literally, I'm the kind of I'm like far away. Like, you ever seen that movie Memento? Where like I'm good at my job, but I'm also like I write things everywhere. Like I
oh,
literally
dude,
I write shit all day. Like what I need to do, plans, work shit. I just literally my whole like
you should see my desk at work, man. It's the same exact thing. I
posts
got
everywhere, dude.
sticky notes everywhere, and then half the time I forget what I was even trying to write on there.
And it's crazy because to some people, I know it's a mess. To some people, it doesn't make sense. But to me, I know exactly what every little thing is. But well, let's say the world comes back correct tomorrow. What's the dream All Out War show? 4 bands, including All Out War.
Oh man, you kill me, man. Put me on the spot there. 4 bands. Do they have to be
It could be anybody, any
okay?
genre, but it has to include All Out War.
All right. One would be Creator. Creator would headline. Uh, Creator headline. Bolt Thrower,
Yes,
Shibaba, and All Out War.
perfect lineup,
You know, that would be fantastic. But
dude.
You know, what's always funny, you know, you hear everybody always, I always read the reviews, you know, and always says, you know, when somebody's trying to diss us, ah, they rip off Slayer. Man, we ripped off Creator more times than we ripped off Slayer. So many more times.
So I mean, I'd have to ask. So if I were to ask Creator Slayer, would the answer be Creator?
Uh the an- that's hard because you got Hella Weights and you got Rain and Blood in there,
That,
but it would be pretty close.
okay, here's a better one. Here's a more generic one. Slayer or Metallica?
Slayer.
Awesome.
Because Metallica, I loved Metallica, man. Like the first three records, untouchable.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then after that, eh, you know, and even Injustice for All, I can listen to it, but I don't love that record. And then anything after Injustice for All, I don't like at all.
Yeah,
Slayer, like I can't think of any Slayer album off the top of my head that I hate, you know, but I can think of Metallica's been bad a lot longer than they were good,
oh
you
yeah.
know.
When they did that, was it Anger Means, and they did that documentary?
Oh, so bad.
God, I like watched it and I was like, who thought this was a good idea to put this out? Like, who thought this was gonna like be in good light for them?
What were was that Anger the record that
Yeah,
they were
yeah, Saint Anger.
like I remember it was right around the time we were doing Condemned to Suffer, and we were when we were on the road, I think with Ringworm,
Mhm.
and somebody played that record, and I couldn't believe how bad the drum sound was. Like, man, you got like $1 million budget,
You get paid. You get
and
paid to be a drummer, motherfucker.
that this snare sound was like hitting a garbage bag. Oh, it was so bad.
It was so bad.
I wasn't expecting much anyway, but
But like that, did you watch that documentary?
yeah, I watched some of it. I didn't finish it,
It
but
like it was the most diva bullshit I've ever seen. I was like, this is
I started watching it, and because I loved Metallica so much as a kid, I had to turn it off.
yeah.
Like, you know, I had to try to find Cliff 'em all somewhere, you know, just to cleanse my mind of what was going on in that.
Well, I mean, I think I think Slayer over Metallica for sure. Um, you know, you've been playing with bands and listening to music for a long time. Is there any like new current bands that you like listen to? You're like, oh shit, this is cool. You know, because you've had years of listening to so much music. Like,
Well,
but what's like a
right.
new band or like a young band that you've been listening to? You're like, oh shit, this is good. It's kind of like sparks it up again. You know?
Every time I start throwing bands out there, somebody always says they're not a new band. Well, they're new to me. So like I mentioned you guys one time in an interview, and somebody was like asked me about new bands, and the guy threw at me, they've been a band for like 12 years or 15 years. I was like, well, I don't know. But I guess
Compared to All Out War, we're new and young. You know?
right, right. Like to me, anybody that came out, you know, after 2010 is a new band, you know. But I like the Frozen Soul stuff a lot that I heard.
Great band.
Yeah, are they from Texas?
They're from Texas. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, they were fantastic.
dude.
Uh,
Rippers.
there's this band Caustic Wound that I've been listening to. They put out a great record last year too. I think it was Death Posture. That was a great record.
Caustic Wound.
Caustic Wound. They're
Yeah,
from
yeah,
I
check
think
it out.
they're from Washington State. They remind me of like Repulsion meets early Carcass type of stuff.
Damn, that sounds awesome. I gotta check it
Check
out.
that record out. That's a great record. There's another band I started to listen to. There was only one positive that came out of the whole lockdown from March until whenever, is I discovered a lot of bands, you know, because I would just
Yeah,
go down that like YouTube rabbit hole, like, you know, whatever came up, you know, and I would just listen to all these bands. So I found Caustic Wound during that time period. And
yeah.
then I found this band Black Curse.
Black.
Um, they're another great one. I think that they're another band that's from up. up in the Pacific Northwest. I could be wrong with that, but those two bands, Black Curse and Caustic Wound,
Gotta check it out.
great.
Yeah, I gotta check both of those out. I haven't heard them. I'm definitely Frozen Soul. I've been a fan of theirs for a while now. So that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Again, thank you for doing this interview, and it's been a stoked to see you.
It's great to see you, man. It's
All
been
Out
you
War,
too.
All Out War is always a pleasure to play with you guys. Pleasure to fucking listen to you guys, and
Well,
hopefully,
hopefully this Europe thing happens.
dude,
Because
even if it's one show to nobody, I'll be stoked. I don't care, dude.
well, I know you guys are on Hyper, right?
Yeah,
Hyperfest with us, and then
there's a
th-
couple shows we're with you guys.
they're a show in France. Is that Super Bowl of hardcore they call
Yeah,
it? Were you guys on that one too?
yeah,
And then I think that there was one in the UK, but the one in the UK I don't think will happen.
yeah. It's I don't know, man. I it seems right now I was like, yeah, hopefully I think it's gonna happen, but it kind of seems fairly slim. I can't picture X amount of people congregating and it okay,
Yeah.
being okay with local governments, you know?
I mean, you look at the situation we're in now, and the numbers all of a sudden are going down,
Yeah.
but we've seen this before.
Yeah.
We've seen the numbers go down over the last year, and then all of a sudden, something happens and they go right back up. Like, now they're talking about, different strains
Yeah.
and
I don't I do think so. For example, like places in Asia like Taiwan, they already had a festival. They're like booking some new festivals.
really,
Oh yeah, full on 10,000 people plus, etc.
really,
Oh yeah.
that's awesome. I didn't
But
know. Let's go to Japan.
but here's what I predict happening. So like for example, a couple of teams and friends of mine went to Taiwan and did Thailand, and then Japan did a festival too. So they take it extremely seriously. So like when you have to be there 2 weeks prior, you quarantine for 2 weeks, you get tested every other day,
Ooh,
and it's they take it serious. But the outcome of that is that they were able to congregate and have a festival, and I was so jealous. But Japan had a festival where they started booking American acts, and just recently they told American acts they're like, sorry, like it's too much high of a risk. So I think the world is going to start opening it up. I just don't think it's going to open up to Americans. So for like that festival, they
that makes
anybody
sense.
that's an American or coming from America, they pulled them out, and they're just like, yeah, you can't play the show. Sorry.
Well, we haven't exactly done a bang up job with this, so
Yeah, it's been horrible, man.
to- totally understand why they wouldn't want us.
Yeah. So that's what I kind of predict. I predict things opening up around the world and music. There's a festival in New Zealand a couple weeks ago, and it was packed. But again, people that flew there to play the show quarantined for 2 weeks, and there's tracing everybody you're with. It's
I had no idea that was even happening. So,
oh yeah,
American bands went to New Zealand?
no. So New Zealand, a couple Australians that live
Oh, okay, all right.
in the States went there and played. Um, but that's kind of what I predict happening, and I don't blame them. Like both my sister and my mother work in the ER and they've both been vaccinated, and they're giving out the vaccinations, and they're like, the process is extremely slow, and they're just sitting on vaccines, and there almost doesn't seem to be a game plan to roll these vaccines out, because now I don't know how it is in New York, but like now here, certain counties and certain cities, you can go at the end, you could sign up because it's like criteria, you have to meet this criteria to get the vaccine, but there's an abundance of vaccines left over that at the end of the day, if they didn't give all the vaccines out, you can go get your vaccine. So it's pretty crazy to see. Like my mom was telling me, she was like, yeah, we have all these vaccines left over to the point where like, what are we doing? We're just sitting on this shit.
Well, it's so crazy too how there's doesn't seem to be a game plan So you
Yeah,
have all these people that say, oh, we need to open up, we need to do this, we need to do that. Well, then get your shit together and develop a plan.
yeah,
Because you think about it, they want schools to open. Well,
yeah,
why don't they just vaccinate then all the teachers in one shot, and then the schools could open?
yeah.
You know,
Well,
it seems pretty simple to me, but
I think well, that's the thing. It is fairly simple. I think logistically, they don't. This has never been done, or it's never like, you have to do mass amounts of vaccinations around the country. So I
right.
think logistically, it's such a they're leaving it to county basis. Where like, okay, you guys figure out how you're going to execute this, but these counties don't know how to gather mass groups of people. So Michael Rapino, who's one of the heads at Live Nation, sent a letter to the president, and I believe the letter was to a certain extent was like, hey, Live Nation, and I totally agree with this. What I do for a living is build, design, and congregate in festivals. That's what Live Nation does. It's like, hey, our job is to do and design and build mass gatherings. We know how to do this. So I believe the letter was to a certain extent like, hey man, there's thousands of people in the music industry that have been out of work for years. Let us put this together, and we'll vaccinate. And I truly believe this. Like, hey, if you brought on a big production company like that, or like AEG or whatever, I believe in a weekend we could have sites all over the country to get people vaccinated.
Right. Well,
You
there,
know?
there's got to be a better system than just, hey, just be on your computer and keep signing up and maybe something will open.
Yeah,
Because that seems to be the strategy right now. You
exactly.
just, hey, we know you qualify for this. So here's what you do. Here's the site. Keep putting your name in, and eventually, maybe an appointment will open up. I mean, that's not how to fight a virus. That's like buying Rolling Stone tickets in the 80s or 70s, or what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
maybe you'll get lucky and get a ticket. It's
And
stupid.
it's very frustrating to watch because it's like I'm confident, even like my team and the people I work with. I'm like, yo, if you tell us when and where, we could build a site, have it socially distanced, and have it ready. Like, there's people all over the country that are significantly talented at doing this. Like, why aren't you utilizing these people? Like, people don't do basketball games and football games and gather thousands of people. Those motherfuckers know how to gather thousands of people.
Right.
Get these stadiums open and get these people vaccinated. But
Yeah, and you're
instead,
absolutely right, because in that field, people are trained on how to do this.
yeah, instead we're just sitting on our ass.
And well, not only trained, the difference is the group of people you're talking about have a real life experience doing this. You
Yeah,
talk about emergency management. Well, that's fantastic. They've had all the virtual training they can get.
yeah,
They've never done it for real before.
yeah. For when you do it in person, I've been involved in projects where, like, we have site plans where, like, okay, we have not only egress, how are we going to get people in, how are we going to get people out, how are we going to space people. We can have congregation of X amount of people in these spaces, and there's people like this all over the country that can execute this. But I don't, I don't know if there's. And it was cool to see, one of the heads of Live Nation be like, "Hey, man, we have a country wide full of people that know how to do this. Like, we can help." And here in Long Beach, there's vaccinations, but they're just sitting on them. But there's no location. There's no like.
How,
So
how are the numbers out there? Have you been seeing a
I've honestly haven't paid attention. From my understanding, it has gone up um, over the past few weeks,
yeah.
but that's because we just recently opened up outdoor dining. So, which for a huge amount of time we weren't able to go eat anywhere or go anything outdoors. And as of 2 weeks ago, now we can go sit at a restaurant outside and do outdoor activities. And I'm assuming it's just going up.
How do bars work out there?
Everything has to be outdoors. So they have to
Everything has
do
to
like
be
actual
outdoors.
which makes it's it sucks. It makes it more difficult for bars to operate because they went from running an operation with a staff of 2 3 people to now you have to do seats, you have to do food, you have to have from a 3 person staff, you have to do 7 people because of you have to abide by COVID regulations. So not only is the expenses going up, you know, it's all around bad for small business, and
Yeah,
it's here you see it left and right. Places are closing down, and hopefully
it's too
I don't
bad. I mean,
know. What's
hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel. I hope, man.
man.
I mean, I just heard that Biden said possibly by Christmas we'll be back to normal. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a long time.
Oh my god, I can't. Like, do you have doing another year this? Oh my god, dude, fuck.
I mean, people are going to go crazy.
You better go.
At the same time, though, I do understand. I'm not one of these people that's like, this is a violation of my rights. Like, I understand.
No, I totally
Eh,
understand. I understand how sickness works. I understand how it spreads. I understand while I may get sick and I'll be fine, the next person next to me may get sick and die.
well,
And
that's
that's
and
and that's a selfish risk for me to take just because I know I'll be okay.
and that's the problem. And I don't think enough people understand that.
Yeah.
Sure, you know, I understand that it's a small percentage that pass away from this disease. I get that, but are you who are you to judge, or who are you to determine who that small percentage is that passes away?
Yeah. No,
Like,
I think a lot of people don't take it into consideration. Yeah, the percentage of death is not it's fairly close to what a flu would be, but
right,
the percentage of people getting in contact with it and actually getting it is extremely higher. So
right,
because so many people got it is the reason why there's been so many deaths.
right.
That's the danger, and then I think people don't take that into consideration. But we'll see how this year goes. I might just run away to Mexico and chill for a year.
There you go.
But dude, Mike, dude, great to see you. I hope I get to play a show with you soon and hang out. But before I let you go, any shout outs to the world or any fuck you could tell someone fuck you too.
Nah, no. I got nothing for love, nothing but love for people. Uh, I know so many people. Shout out to you, Nate, for doing this. I really appreciate it. You know,
Yeah,
it's good to be connected.
yeah,
It's good to have these conversations. I really appreciate you thinking of me. So
yeah, man.
thank you, man.
Stoked to see you and stoked to talk to you, man. It's good to check in on people and see how they're doing. And
How's Brian doing?
Brian's great. Brian just recorded I believe, a record or a demo for his other band. I can't say the fucking name. Something too Motley, or I can never say the fucking name. But he showed me the songs and it's sick. I'm stoked.
It's great. It's good to hear, man. That
But
people are still writing music and doing stuff at least.
the dudes are doing good, and everybody's trying to keep a positive
Yeah.
mental state of. But yeah,
I'm jealous of you because of the weather. How's the weather today?
dude, it's beautiful. It's like 78, 79.
Yeah, it's like 25 degrees here.
I live in California, man. It's paradise. What can I say?
Well, what's funny? What's funny? I was looking at the map, and like California, Florida, and Georgia are like the only states in the country that doesn't have snow on the ground right now. And the only place that I would want to be out of those three places is California.
Someone someone posted a map of the country currently. How all the middle of America is like just cold and frozen, and you see the outskirts kind of slightly warm. And someone put because it made me laugh because you ever put a hot pocket in the microwave
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I saw that.
Like this is what a hot pocket looks like.
Right.
It's fucking hot on the outside and cold in the middle.
I saw that. I laughed, man. I saw the exact same thing this morning.
Oh, dude, it killed me.
Well,
But
like I'm only jealous of California though, because like I love my Florida friends, don't get me wrong. But when they try to brag about, yeah, well, our weather, yeah, well, I don't want to live in Florida anyway.
hell no.
So
Have
I'm
you
a,
been to Florida in the summer? Uh-uh.
you know, California, that's different. You know, Southern California, I've the weather, the scenery, beautiful.
Paradise.
Florida, Florida, you can have it. You can keep it. I don't care how nice your weather is.
There's ever been a time on tour where I was depressed? Well, it was in Florida. It was in Miami Beach. It was like 110 outside. The van, our van, uh, was overheating, so we had to run the heater. We're all literally in boxers, butt naked in the fucking van, just because it was fucking dying of heat. So we get to the beach, and we all just start running towards the water, super, super excited to go into the water. So we run into the beach, and it feels like a bathtub. And I
Oh,
was like, this is bullshit, dude. So ever
uh,
since then, I was like, yeah,
one
I
tour that
like,
we
I like my Florida friends, but they could keep it.
one tour that we did with Buried Alive back in the day, we uh we had this minivan, and I don't know why we thought this was a good idea to use this minivan, but so we had like 7 people crammed into the minivan, and the air conditioner broke. So we had to bungee cord the doors open, because we're in Florida and it was so freaking hot. And same thing, we get this hotel, and it was like, you know, ask Vogel about this hotel in Fort Lauderdale. It was the sketchiest place ever, but who cares? We got this hotel, it had a pool, jumped in that pool after being in that van, and like you said, it was like jumping in piss, man. It
Dude,
was like the water was hotter than the air.
dude, immediately when I got on the water, I like got out. I was just like, I just want to go home. I was just like immediately depressed. I was like, at least California water is refreshing, you know.
Right.
But it is what it is. But dude, again, thank you. I'm gonna let you go.
All right, brother.
I hope you keep in touch and dude, let's as soon as we can play, we gotta do all at war survival shows.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Everywhere, just a little worldwide tour, real quick, you know.
I'm in, man. You let me know.
All right, peace out, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right, peace, bro. Talk to you soon.